Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!
Well, hello and welcome to today's episode of Need I Say Myrrh, the Christmas podcast. And today I am delighted to welcome as our guest Claire Williams. Hello, Claire. How are you today?
Good, thank you. Feeling very festive.
Well, that's good to hear on a Christmas podcast.
Indeed.
And can you quickly introduce yourself, who you are, where you are, what you do?
Yes, I can. Yep, my name is Claire again, and I am a lecturer at Regent's Theological College, which is part of the Elim Church network. And I actually live in Kent, which is nowhere near where Regent's is. So now and again, I commute over there. And I live with my husband and my 4 boys.
And how long have you been at Regent's?
This is my 3rd year.
3rd year, okay. And you have had a book published this year, which is very exciting.
Yeah.
And although it's nothing to do with Christmas, do you want to do a quick 20-second plug?
Yes, I should. My publishers would expect it. My book is called Peculiar Discipleship, an Autistic Liberation Theology. And it looks at the relationship between autism and the church and faith, and I tried very hard to make some connections between those, and talks about how we can help autistic people to flourish in the church.
Yeah, it's a helpful book. I've read it.
Oh, fab.
Yeah, and thank you for writing it. And you say in the book that you're hoping that it will encourage other people to write as well. So hoping that will appear in coming years, that we'll see more books.
Yes, yeah.
About some issues, which will be very valuable. So that's great. But we're here really to talk about Christmas. And I noticed when you introduced yourself earlier, there is someone in your house that you didn't mention, which is your dog Ivy.
Yes,
who in fact is in the room with you at
Yes,
the
she
moment
is.
as you're recording this. And so I am interested, before we get into how you celebrate Christmas, I'm interested to know, is Ivy a big Christmas fan, and how is Ivy going to be celebrating this year?
That's a very, very important question in our household. So Ivy is a Cocker Spaniel and celebrates most of life all the time. She approaches the world with much joy, except for when we put her Christmas jumper on her, when she doesn't feel much joy for that, although we do expect it because we all have to participate in Christmas.
It's good that you've got a Christmas jumper for her.
Yeah, but I've lost it. I wanted to put her in it today and I can't find it. I suspect foul play, that she might have either eaten it or hidden it. My husband, who takes pity on her when I try and put her in this jumper. So Ivy's general approach to Christmas is to try and beg for bits of chicken and sausage and whatnot. But this year she has an even more important task, because for this year Ivy has to welcome yet another Cocker Spaniel into the house, because we are getting a second one, a puppy. So her job will be to facilitate that and help us all to settle the puppy in and have yet again another puppy at Christmas, which was what we did 2 years ago with Ivy, and it's quite an intense experience for everyone.
I'm sure, yes.
But yes, she very much likes Christmas, because lots of people and lots of like roast meat. What else is there to want in the world? And people decorate a tree full of dog toys.
That is exciting. Does she get presents as well?
She does, yes. Yes, that's very important. So what did she get last year? Last year she got Goosey. Now, Goosey was a fluffy goose which didn't survive beyond February. Yeah, she pretty much ate Goosey.
Okay. Well, seeing as she's in the room, I won't ask what you've got her this year. We'll leave that as a surprise. But I've got some other questions to ask you about your celebration of Christmas. I'm asking each guest the same questions and seeing what answers you come up with. And so the first question, Claire, is what is your favourite festive food item?
Well, that's a good question. And this year it's going to have to change, because I'm trying to eat a bit less meat. And I would probably normally have said pigs in blankets. And I was discussing this with a friend, I think a lot of people will give you that answer. But because I'm trying to eat less meat, I'm going to have to go with mince pies. I think they're probably my most favourite. And we do make them ourselves at home. Me and my eldest son, we tend to try and make them together, or separately, depending on how fed up of sharing the kitchen we are. And so, yes, that's probably the thing we like most. But I never eat them after Christmas Day itself. For some reason, in my head, mince pies are an Advent kind of a food stuff. And then I don't want them again. On Christmas Day, I've had it. No more.
Okay. Is the earliest that you would eat a mince pie the 1st of December?
I mean, I've come across Puritans in this, and I do feel that, Advent needs to be at least on the horizon, I think.
Okay. So by the time this recording goes out, you will be eating
well
pies.
into it. Mm-hmm.
There we go. And do you have like a secret ingredient that you put in your mince pies?
Well, I make my own mincemeat often. There's probably a bit too much booze in it. So it's always a bit of a question whether or not it's suitable to go to school.
Okay. There's something special about a homemade mince pie. I think that does make Christmas. Yeah, that's good. And we'll talk about music. Your favourite non-religious Christmas song?
Yes, well, this caused me some kind of debate. And I had a friend who suggested one about a granny getting run over by Santa's sleigh, but I've not heard that one before. I do like Madness's Christmas Time. And I thought I better remind myself exactly what the video's like. And it's not that appropriate. So it's a lovely song, but it's not a good music video. Don't watch it on YouTube.
Okay, I'm not familiar with it, so I will avoid watching it.
Yes, I mean, it's a jolly tune. And I thought, I quite like Fairy Tale in New York. So then I started to think that maybe some of my Christmas song favourites are a bit dystopian and perhaps I should cheer up a bit. Then I thought, well, is my favourite actually Mary Do You Know? And does that count as a Christmas song that's Christian or not? And I have theologian friends who would really dislike that song. But to answer your question, I do like When Santa Gets Stuck Up a Chimney. And we once had that asked for, could we do that for a baptism? By the child who was, the dedication. The child was being dedicated. They were very small. One of the siblings, who was also quite small, wanted When Santa Got Stuck Up a Chimney to be played at the service. So, it has all-round appeal, which makes it a very good choice.
I've never come across it being used for baptism or dedication before. But did you end up having it?
No. Okay. I think Mum and Dad said, actually, can we have In Christ Alone?
Okay. Well, they're similar kinds of songs, aren't they, in many ways?
Indeed, yeah. There's much to commend both.
There we go. You can have a bit of both. That's great. And think about, you've already mentioned Ivy's like of certain things on the tree. I'm wondering about Christmas decorations. What your least favourite Christmas decoration is?
Well, I was thinking about this and I spoke to my second son. I said, I don't think I've got, I'm a very jolly, welcoming kind of Christmas enthusiast. And he says, no, you're not, Mum. You hate tinsel. You don't like tinsel at all. And in fact, he's right. I don't like tinsel. I think it can look naff and it drops bits everywhere. And along with the pine needles from the real tree that my husband insists on buying every year, is too much for my Hoover. So tinsel is largely banned, except for some concessions to the boys' bedrooms. They're allowed to put tinsel up in there or I can't see it. And also, I do have the kind of ideal home vision of my Christmas tree, which never quite materialises, but I do think it shouldn't involve tinsel because that's never on an ideal home Christmas tree, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, I'm not a tinsel fan either, to be honest. So,
is it meant to be moss? I mean, what is it? I don't even understand.
I don't know. I don't know why you would choose it, really. And
no, I mean, we've got a lovely little story that I was given when I was at preschool and somehow we've managed to keep. It was for my leaving. When I left preschool to start primary school, I started in January, and I have a lovely little book about a robin at Christmas. And at the end, they throw their Christmas tree out, the people, and the robin goes along and steals the tinsel for Mrs. Robin to line her nest. And that's the only positive thing I can ever think in relation to tinsel, is this nice idea of a robin lining its nest. And then I try not to think about what happens if it eats it or anything like that.
Yeah, it's probably not very friendly to animals, really. But there we go. No. And is this like a lifelong hatred of tinsel, or has it developed over time?
I mean, I don't think we had it when we were children. So, no, I think it's come with my children insisting on it and me having to, thoughtfully and calmly reflect on my feelings about it and then ban it.
But apart from in your boys' bedrooms where they can...
I mean, none of us, I try not to go in those rooms ever. So it might, I would not be surprised if there's still tinsel up from last year.
last year, there we go. One more question, which isn't about Christmas decorations, but about what's really at the heart of Christmas versus Christians, about the nativity story, the birth of Jesus, and everything that goes around that. And I'm wondering, who is your favourite person in the nativity account, not including Jesus? It would take Jesus as a given.
Yes. I was really thoughtful about this, and I thought, I'm somewhat of a feminist theologian, so maybe I should say Mary. But actually, I've been thinking a lot about creation and God's love for the world and love for the things that he has made. And it really strikes me every year that in the middle of the nativity scene, in the middle of that kind of image we have of everyone crowding round the incarnate Jesus, who is this amazing miracle of God with us, that there are animals, and that the donkey was there. And he, if you were to think about it, to some extent, this donkey carries Christ into the world. He facilitates this moment where God is in amongst us and with us. And I think there's something really special about all those animals in the nativity scene, and the shepherds who, presumably bring little lambs or something. There's just this expectation that creation has witnessed the incarnation, and that the world is celebrating the fact that Jesus is incarnate. This tiny baby is this kind of answer to the promises, not just of what we need as humans, which is obviously the primary thing, if you like, if we were to try and rank them, and I'm not sure I should, but that actually Jesus' incarnation does something for the world and its created matter, and later on Jesus goes on to say, doesn't he, if we stop speaking, the rocks and the stones will cry out. And Paul talks about all creation aching and groaning for the fulfillment of everything. And I think that although we tend to remember that what Jesus was born to do for people, there's also something about the new heaven and the new earth that Jesus will bring about. And this tiny baby, this incarnate baby, is the start of that new earth as well, and that whole new created order. And I think that for me, that joins it all up together. So, hence thinking about eating a bit less meat, hence waxing lyrical about my dog in my book. There's something about the role animals have in our world, and it's not comparable to people, but there's something special in it that I don't think we've quite parsed yet. And I think that remembering those animals is something really amazing.
Yeah, no, that is a helpful perspective. And it is amazing that God has made a world filled with all these animals, and that we. In the week of this being recorded, we were in the FIC conference up in Blackpool, the Fellowship of Independent Evangelical Churches, and looking at the image of the new heavens and new earth, where there are animals mentioned
Exactly.
in Isaiah, and thinking about the images we get in Revelation of the whole of creation rejoicing, and everything on the earth rejoicing in praise of God. So that's, seeing that bigger perspective from that tiny baby. That's exciting.
I just think we are excited about Jesus. The incarnation is such an important idea for Christians, but Jesus was incarnate into the world, not as well, and that's an interesting idea too, as well as his being incarnate as a human, and all that means for our salvation and being redeemed and that sort of thing. It's not the same, but there's something there.
That's a great answer. I think lots of people have said Mary, but I'm not sure if anyone else will say that. So that's really great. Thank you, Claire. Good. And anything that you want to add, Ivy?
Ivy, do you want to say anything about the Nativity? Who's your favourite character? She's still thinking about it. She does say that it's a bit obvious.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you, Claire. And thank you for joining us. And I hope that you have a very happy Christmas.
Thank you. Merry Christmas to all of you.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!